God's character. Old and New Testament comparison. A lot of people claim that the Old Testament paints the Creator as a cruel and vengeful tyrant. I have read the Old Testament a few times over the years. And the more I read, the more I learn. I have noticed that even though Israel's armies made war with peoples of the earth, many of Israel's enemies were allowed to enter the congregation of Israel. Some, such as the Egyptians, had to wait till their 3rd generation, and others had to wait till their 10th generation to enter. So Israel was commanded to allow other peoples to join the congregation, according to their relationship to Israel, it would seem. So almost any people was allowed to join Israel, but the worse their relationship to Israel, the longer it would take for them to be allowed to join the congregation. There are a few peoples and conditions that were never allowed to join the congregation. Not only were other peoples allowed to join the Israelites, but the Israelites were commanded to take care of and respect the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow. From my understanding, those peoples I mentioned earlier would count as the strangers mentioned. In this case, the Israelites were commanded to have love for God and each other. They were told to share their food with the poor and the aforementioned. So from my perspective and opinion, I feel that when one studies the texts over time, they will begin to realize that the Creator, in the Old Testament, presented a lot of laws to teach people to honor God, each other, and the earth. Laws to teach Israel to do what is right according to God's will. And as I mentioned, laws concerning the peoples, including most of Israel's enemies of the world, eventually entering God's kingdom, and joining Israel's congregation. And to finish, on a related topic, being raised as a Christian, and from studying the New Testament, Christ's teachings, as well as things written about him, I have an opinion of how the revelation of Christ is related to the previous topic, the character of the Creator in the Old Testament. I feel that, to sum it up, the love and compassion of God revealed through Christ is mostly undisputed, at least in comparison to God's character in the Old Testament. As I said, one of the main reasons I am writing this is because I know that it is a popular opinion that God's character in the Old Testament is that of a tyrant. So I just wanted to shed a little light on the fact that, in my opinion, the God of the Old Testament and New Testament is not so different. His mercy and judgment are mentioned in both the Old and New Testaments. The Old Testament he judges Israel and Israel's enemies. Yet he has mercy on Israel and Israel's enemies at times. The New Testament he judges all the living and dead. Yet he has mercy on us, people, through Christ. So in my opinion, the Bible, and the Old and New Testaments, and God's character, are not a two-sided coin, divided into nice and mean sections. God's judgment and mercy both shine through the Old and New Testaments of the Bible, as well as God's character. This is my opinion, and is not meant to offend anyone. I simply want to share and express my belief about God's character, because I feel it is commonly misrepresented. Thank you.